Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Kinsey Manufacturing here in Williamsburg, Iowa, and welcome to our service training segment this week. We've got three of them coming up. My name is Phil Jennings, and I'll introduce Brandon Veneman. Behind the camera today, you can't see. We also want to acknowledge Mr. Bill Erickson and Kurt Mann, and wouldn't be doing this without Zach behind the camera. So thanks to all the guys to making sure this happens today. Service training this year, obviously you guys are aware, and thanks everybody for joining this afternoon. We've got our first of three segments this week. We're going to start with Blue Vantage today, what's changing for model year 26, and then we're going to get into a little bit of the file transfer questions. One of the things you'll see is continued increase in compatibility with other farm management information service providers. Format of the meeting, hopefully everybody has a reasonable familiarity with the Teams format. I realize it can look different on your phone versus your laptop or other devices, but our meeting today, we will not be using the chat, but we will be using the Q&A function. So along the way, guys, as we go through the information that we have, don't hesitate to reach out in the Q&A, throw your questions out there. And one of two ways, either we'll try and incorporate them as best that we can going through the lessons today, or we will be pausing at different times for specific areas of question as we transition with some of the topic material. So go ahead and get those thrown out there and find that Q&A function so that we can get your questions answered as we go through today. Guys, there's always another question when we do service training. That is, what's required? What do I need for accreditation, et cetera, et cetera. Guys, of the three service webinars you may have read in the Thursday communication, we'd love to have you attend all three. Obviously, we've got different topics each day, try to keep things fresh, but depending on what your schedule allows, each day we will have a participation quiz. So we want to know who's out there. We want to know who's attending. And we also recognize that there are cases where several of you may be sitting behind one computer, and that's just fine. We will, by the end of the training, post a login for an attendance quiz. Pretty basic, quick, 5 minutes or less quiz. Go ahead and pop through that. And if there are more than one of you watching, that's great. Each of you can take it individually to receive credit for attending the webinar today. And as always, if something doesn't work, doesn't make sense, guys, reach out to us at dealerconnect@kinsey.com, and we can get those links forwarded out to you if for some reason you're having difficulty pulling it off of the Teams chat. Okay. Did I miss anything, Brandon?
I don't think so.
Okay. With that, guys, the question of why are we here? Service training is something that we've been doing here at Kinsey for many, many years. In fact, over 30 years, we've dedicated a portion of this time of year, summer typically, sometimes we get into after harvest, midwinter, but try to put together some educational programs, what's happened within the last year, what's changing, what's new, what's different. Probably what's changing right now is our format a little bit. We're focusing a little bit more on the electronic communication with the Teams format, but still trying to put together meaningful information. And in this case, the next 3 days, a focus on Kinsey's technology machines. The other thing to look for is continued content that we are looking at posting on YouTube. Kinsey's YouTube channel has a lot of great information with Blue Vantage information, some similar new product information. Brad Needstead's been doing a fantastic job of putting some additional webinars out there as well for new product release. So guys, utilize the technology that's available to you today to get a lot of this information as well. So once again, thank you for joining, and we are off tomorrow, but we will be back on for Wednesday and Thursday with additional topics. But I think right now I'll turn it over to Brandon, and we're going to get started going through the Blue Vantage display. What are the software changes for model year 26, some new features that are being added, as well as then some time with our transition of information between other operating systems, John Deere Ops Center, Agfinity, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
So
Yeah, absolutely, Phil. We'll go ahead and jump over to the Blue Vantage feed, Zach, if you would, please. All right, guys. So we will be primarily focused on the Blue Vantage here. So if you guys do have your demo one off the parts counter, if you guys want to follow through with us here on your tablets, that'd be highly recommended. Some of you may notice I have a little bit different software than what you guys may have on yours currently. I will note that the model year 26 demo software is currently available on the portal. So if you haven't updated to model year 26 demo, I'd recommend doing that as well. But the software we're going to go through today, guys, this is what's going to be installed on the Blue Vantage tablets that come with your new machines. So this is what you're going to see when you unbox that Blue Vantage for the first time. Obviously, as you guys see on the screen, we're going to want to get that updated to our production model year 26 software when that comes out. Um, don't have a firm date as of right now, but like we've seen in years past, guys, somewhere in that November to February range, we should have our final software version for model year 26.
And the other thing I'd notice, guys, is Kinsey only does one update per year. That's one of the things we know that other operating systems have done more frequent updates, but part of the ease of use that we've tried to focus on with Kinsey Blue Vantage is just a singular update each year. Latest is usually around that Valentine's Day timeframe, mid-February, but oftentimes the Kinsey Electronics team has been able to finalize things ahead of that. So who should be looking for that, guys? Everybody. All Blue Vantage displays should be updated prior to first use this spring, and honestly, every year. Historically, we've got some customers that are very satisfied with the performance. They say, why should I bother? Do I really need to update? The answer is yes. We're always making improvements. There are always new opportunities. And some of what we're going to talk to today, as far as even the troubleshooting and diagnostic capabilities, are improved over time. So make sure that you get all of this out there for all of your customers. There's no costs associated with these upgrades, guys. It's the other nice thing about Blue Vantage is our commitment to you is providing all of these changes at no cost. So make sure your customers are aware of that. They can do that themselves
Yep.
off of kinsey.com, the resources to find those software updates. If you're bringing the tablet into the office environment where you have a Wi-Fi signal, these later model year revisions give you a wireless update opportunity as well. So no longer any need to use a thumb drive to transfer the information. So make sure all of your displays that your dealership supports get a update prior to planting this year, and look for that update. I'm going to say start watching the Thursday communications. That's where you're going to see it pop up. But we get into mid-November, December timeframe. There's going to be some information there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. So like we said, primary focus, I'll call it the first half of our webinar here. We're going to do kind of a basic walkthrough of the Blue Vantage display. We'll get into an actual task here, but I want to show you guys some of the what I'll call minor updates to the model year 26 software. But you guys will see as we work through how we have the ease of use mindset when it comes to some of the updates we're providing through the model year 26 software. Just kind of make it a little easier for the users. So to begin with, guys, you guys have probably seen this screen before, and this is the boot up screen. We are not in training mode yet. One thing I do want to note here before we actually dive into training mode, if your customer is seeing this or doesn't fully meet all the prerequisites before they can hit that plant icon, if I were to click on that plant icon, we now have a hint feature. We'll kind of give you the customer some guidance as to where he needs to go to figure out why he's not getting to that state. So we'll see it throughout the course here, guys, but that's an easy way to see it here. All right. So like normal, guys, I'm going to ask you guys to join or go to training mode if you guys are following along. To get to training mode, for some of you who may not be familiar with the Blue Vantage, we're going to click the settings icon over here on the right. I'm going to click on training mode on the left-hand side, and we're going to toggle it on. We'll leave it on front fold for now, and GPS playback is on, and we'll hit that blue check mark.
Guys, recognize that all displays will have this training functionality. So the customer display, the display you have on the parts counter, all of those have the capability, and it can certainly be an excellent training opportunity for your customers that want to freshen up their Blue Vantage skills, if you will, as you continue into this this winter.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually going to go back because I'm already getting ahead of myself here, Phil. Forgot to mention, guys, we did change a couple things in relation to tasks. So if we go into our manage icon here, because I'm not actually set to plant, so I can't access that task preview. A couple different things here, guys. One, the icon we have shown for our field here will now tell you what crop type the data is associated with that task. So as you can see here, we planted corn in all of our tasks that we have currently. Some of you guys may have customers that are trying to utilize some data management side of things, but they struggle to find the task they were previously in if they're coming back to the same field, or every time they shut it down, they just automatically hit that create or add task button here. So for model year 26, if we hit that add button and I come down and select my grower farm and field, you'll see down here at the bottom it's going to say existing task found. Right, so that's going to try and steer the customer back to that previously existing task. That way, it's just easier on the back end as far as data management goes, and then we can also utilize that previously applied data for section control and whatnot as far as we go for actual field operation. So exit back out here. I'm now going to jump over to training mode. Alrighty. Set my toolbar down so we're ready to go there. I'm going to click the plant icon up here so we can start going. I'm not going to worry about grower farm field for this example here, guys, but I am going to select our pre-generated boundaries and prescriptions that come along with the training mode on the Blue Vantage tablet. You will note here, guys, once we get to our prescriptions, obviously with model year 26, we are offering Blue Vantage controlled dual fertilizer. So we can select two different prescriptions from here, guys. I'm just going to go ahead and select both for training purposes here, and I'm going to hit that check mark. So you can see here, a little bit different in our boundary and prescriptions box. We are now going to show you guys how much seed is needed, as well as how much fertilizer is needed to complete that prescription for that task.
So Brandon, I got to ask, this negates the need for the calculator on my cell phone?
Indeed.
Okay.
Indeed. Yep. Trying to make it easy, guys. That way, your customer knows, hey, I got 600 pounds of seed left in my bulk fill tanks. I'm planting this tiny little field. How much am I going to need? Do I need to bring the seed tender over to the field? This will tell us exactly how many pounds of seed or gallons of fertilizer will be needed to complete that task. So another little detail in there, but it makes it a little easier for the customer in terms of planning before he actually starts that task. Go ahead and hit plant here. Right. Not much has changed in terms of what the base run screen looks like, guys. So for some of you who aren't familiar, I'll just give you a brief run through. We still have our population graph, which we've seen over displays dating quite a ways back. Based off of what legend we're in, that bar graph is going to tell us a row by row summary of what we're seeing here. And we do have some different preset widgets going down the side, guys. So we do have some row details here. We have some different product information, so our current average population as well as our application rate for fertilizer. We also, on this case, we're showing our vacuum and bulk fill pressures as well as our ground contact percentage here as it goes off the screen. And we also have markers. In the past, we've kind of come down to this pencil icon here, guys. And this is how we determined what widgets we want to select. All right, so if I come in here, I can click on different ones here. As you can see, we've added a couple different features here in terms of what we can actually show on the widgets. So if I wanted to change row detail to boundary here, guys, it's as easy as just clicking on row detail and clicking boundary. So it makes it a little easier to determine what widgets you want. Before we had to select 1, 2, 3, 4 to determine what order they're in. You kind of had to be prepared for what you wanted to click. So making it a little easier here to customize this how you want it. And like I said, we can simply click whichever one we want. So I'm gonna leave it as row detail. But let's say I want to expand my markers, guys. It's the same concept. Click the little expand button, and that's going to be my primary enlarged feature. All right. Hit the check. As you can see, my marker box is now expanded. A couple different things we've added here, guys. If I go up to shutoffs and I were to turn one section off, we're now going to prompt a reminder to turn that section or automatic section control back on, or that section back on. Just making it easy. Sometimes guys will forget to turn that back on, and then we plant 10 acres before we realize that that section's not running. So you can see it's kind of flashing at me here too after a while, guys. Just a little visual to try and alleviate some pains the customers felt this year. Go ahead and minimize that box. Little change. I will mention it while we're here, guys. We did kind of change the way the icon is located within the screen. It's now centered within the actual box itself. Before it was kind of off-centered because we were centering it between widgets and the bar or the information on the left. So just a little visual change there. We click up in the top right corner. I'm going to switch to our split maps. Again, guys, pretty similar to what we've seen in the past. I will note if we click and hold up here now, you'll see a little darker color box will drift down, and we can also go back to edit those widgets from here as well. So last year you had to go back to the single screen in order to change those widgets and the layout. But from MY26 we can do it there as well. So nothing super crazy, but a little bit of cleanup in terms of changing what your customer wants to see on the screen. Go ahead and click cancel there, guys. For those of you who aren't or haven't seen the Blue Vantage or aren't familiar with the Blue Vantage, we can select two different maps to be shown at the same time. So in this case, we are currently seeing ground contact as well as our population in real time. Our bar graph that was at the top is now down here at the bottom. And depending on what map or what bar graph we actually want to see, it's as simple as just toggling over. And there is a nice little text box that appears to tell us which graph is active, just so there's no confusion. All right.
Are those the only two maps available for a split screen application?
Nope. I'm glad you asked. I will hit the drop down here, guys. So you can see we have a whole different list of options here. Like I said, we dual fertilizer, so we could look at both fertilizer rates if we wanted to. We could also look at sensed force, applied force for our true depth down force. Yeah, completely customizable to what your operator wants to run, guys. So not all Blue Vantages will look the same on the run screen. So, but yeah, completely customizable. If we hit the pencil icons, it takes us to the associated settings screen. So we can easily adjust things on the run as well. So glad you asked that question, Phil. It's a good question. So that is the run screen. I went through that kind of fast, guys. If you guys have any questions, like I said, feel free to shoot them into the Q&A. but I'm going to keep going for now as there isn't really a whole lot of changes on the run screen here. I want to get to the meat and potatoes portion of the Blue Vantage. So I'm going to click on alerts here, guys. I know I've been seeing a couple of alerts pop up. Like we've talked about before, for those of you who have been to our trainings before, or familiar with the Blue Vantage, if we click on an alert, guys, it's going to take us to the health screen. So I'm going to click on this red octagon that's a little more importance than the yellow triangle and the blue circle. So I'm going to click on population low. Like I said, guys, that was associated with row 3, and it took me right to the health screen for row 3. Right. So you can see here, guys, each row is going to give us individual readouts based off of all the different sensors that we have on the machine. So if you're ever needing to do individual row diagnostics for population, downforce, fertilizer application, it's all going to be contained within this screen right here.
So I realize, Brandon, when you're looking at the run screen, we have a bar graph that allows you to compare all the rows at the same time. What about from this more detailed level of diagnostics? Can I see more than one row at a time?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is an all rows feature here. We can see a couple different things. So like Phil was saying, if we wanted to compare all the rows at the same time, we could. It's a little difficult here as we're coming in and out of headlands because everything keeps popping up and disappearing. But so for troubleshooting, we see it all the time. Customers saying my one row is planning lower population than the others. We can come to this screen here and compare rows in terms of meter speed and delivery tube speed, pending we're using a true speed planner for this scenario here. That's an easy way to check it. We'll also go into some self-contained planer tests here in a little bit, and that we can actually access to physically just test the meter and delivery tube belt by themselves. But this is a good way to kind of get a planer-wide view of what's happening for those different details. So it's a great question. If I get back out of here now.
Click on row.
Cool. Couple different things I want to walk through, guys, while we're on the health screen here. I know this may be a repeat for some of you who are more seasoned with our health screen on the Blue Vantage, but we kind of buzz through a couple different things here. Like I mentioned, we do have different sensors for each row. So as you can see here, we have seed sensor information. We're going to tell you, in this case, I'm on row 1, so I also have some IPP sensor or position sensors here, which we won't see on other rows. We're going to give you speeds of our meter and delivery tube. We're going to tell you all the downforce information. So based off our load link readings, as far as calibration voltages and what our current sense and applied force is. Fertilizer application and insecticide, if they're using insecticide, is also shown here as well. So I click through, guys, some of the main topics here. Start with our aux modules box. Couple different things here. Like I mentioned, because of the release of dual product from MY26 in terms of fertilizer, we have 2 different fertilizer boxes shown here. One of the main things I want to point out here, guys, when it comes to troubleshooting in terms of aux modules, it's important to note, and we'll discuss it a little more on Wednesday. Our input voltages to our aux modules are actually tractor voltage. So you'll be able to see all these voltages without the PTO pump running, guys. That way we can fold and unfold the machine without having to have that PTO running. So important to note, all these are going to be that 12 to 14 volt tractor volt range. So if you're ever troubleshooting power or communication with an aux module, it's important to note that is going to be tractor voltage. I'm going to kind of breeze over Blue Connect for now, guys. We'll come back and talk to that a little more once we start transitioning into the actual file management or file transfer portion. Click on Blue Vantage here, guys. Again, pretty basic. It's going to tell you the software version we're on, battery percentage, as well as available storage. So as you can see here, mine's at 97%. When you guys are doing your preseason checks and your customers is starting to get down there, and percent of available storage, I'd highly recommend going in and removing some of those antiquated tasks. That way the Blue Vantage processing system can keep running at its full capacity. So highly recommend keeping that available storage up, guys. It's going to keep clicking through here. Not a whole lot's changed. We'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow as well, in terms of what our GPS requirements are for, or on Wednesday, excuse me, what our GPS requirements are under the Blue Vantage. So I'll just kind of breeze over that as well. Power pack information. You can see alternator output. We can see the two battery voltages we have there to excite the alternator. So we know if we have a dead battery from this screen here, as well as the frequency in which we're outputting. Pretty basic information here for our vacuum and bulk fill, guys. You'll notice it's pretty similar across the two tabs. We're going to show you the current pressure, what the target pressure is, as well as some PWM duty cycle values. So if we're not achieving target rate, this is a great, or target pressure, this is a great screen to come to, so we can visibly see if there is a leak in the system, or if we're just not getting PWM feedback like we'd be expecting to. So I work my way across here, guys. Again, row cleaners and closing wheels. We're going to give you some air pressure readings based off of what we expect it to be, what it actually is, because in this training mode, we are running with air adjust row cleaners and closing wheels. Scales, pretty basic again, guys. How much weight we have, how many acres until empty, and our weight transfer PSI. So nothing's really changed on those screens there either.
But what we're looking at here, Brandon, is total tank weights. This is not going to be what we were looking at for the individual prescription amounts required.
Yep.
So that's your comparison point. You may not need that calculator anymore. We're trying to give you that information up front, but recognize that if I just start into a task and I need X pounds worth of seed, this is where I can go to say, hey, do I have that left in the tank, or do I need to be calling for my tender to come back?
Yep, you're spot on. So I believe in this example, it was like 150 pounds of seed or something like that. So yes, we'd be able to come here and we'd say we'd have plenty of seed, so we wouldn't have to worry for this task. It's a good call out. Just going to breeze through downforce and hydraulics, guys. Nothing's changed here. It's just our system pressure, and also what mode we're running for our true depth, as well as what our target pressure is. And some air compressor, our readouts here, and our PTO pump information. One thing you'll notice on this fertilizer screen here, guys, looks a little bit different. For those of you that had the 5670 last year, you've probably seen this level indicator visual underneath the fertilizer for that machine, as we were using the radar style fertilizer level indicators. That is being implemented on the 59 and 5700 this year as well. So this readout will be available on all 5000 series machines. But it is important to note you're only going to get that visual for fertilizer product number 1, as that's going to be our onboard in our planer tanks, as I'll call it. Whereas the second product's more than likely it's going to be from an auxiliary source. So whether it's tractor or pull behind tank. So
I think that's a good clarification, Brandon. Dual product fertilizer, product 1 will always be planter mounted.
Yep.
Okay. Product 1 will always be planter mounted. And truly that auxiliary location is the customer choice, whether it be front or rear. So not knowing what that will be as a standard configuration, product 1 will always be planter mounted. So good clarification.
Yep. Right. Is there anything I'm missing thus far, Phil, that you could think of?
No, I think just the appreciation for the fertilizer level change on the front folds. There's always been a low level indicator in the lower part of the tank, but it really wasn't an amount. It was just get you close and recognize that, hey, you're getting to the bottom end. With the opportunity to implement the radar level sensor, it really does give us a lot more detail to that tank volume, and a lot better planning opportunities as far as keeping things rolling.
Yep. I'd be remiss if I didn't click on this diagnostics box that's staring me in the face here in the middle of the screen. When we click on this, guys, like it's pretty similar to what we've seen in the past. We can generate diagnostic data files from here. I'll briefly touch on that, guys. I know a lot of you guys have used it and uploaded those to the cloud or sent them into Dealer Connect, like Phil mentioned earlier. So that way we can take a little deeper dive into what we're seeing as far as issues on certain machines. It's important to note this is where we will generate them. We'll do some talks on Blue Connect here shortly. If your customer is logged in with their Blue Connect account, they can upload it to the cloud right away. Otherwise, we can still export it to a USB like we have been able to in the past. So this is where we'll come if we ask you to generate these files. If we click on the workflows tab, guys, there's a lot of tabs or a lot of information in here, I'll say. If you have the question, more than likely there's probably a workflow in here to give you some sort of starting point of things to look at. I won't go through all of them, but note there are a lot of heavy hitters in here, such as intermittent module communication, harness routing, vacuum settings,
Fertilizer
rate charts. Exactly right. So if you guys are ever in the field, you don't have to have Wi-Fi connection to see these guys. So a lot of good information is packed into here and available at your fingertips.
This is certainly something to impress upon your customers, guys. If they're not using it, it's probably the most underutilized feature, I would say, that can really provide quick solutions to common issues. And that's the whole intent. Also to the point of if you're hearing or have a repeated question and it's not in there, let us know. Want to make sure that we continue to add information here as a self-help opportunity that's embedded. Using it obviously more frequently than the operators manuals themselves, especially with the new flow meters on the fertilizers, looking at what orifice size, what screen size, do I need the settings and the ranges for the speed that I'm driving and the application that I have. So guys, certainly utilize the workflows for all of those things.
Yep. Right. So I talked earlier, guys, when Phil asked about the all rows feature, there are some static test features we have built into the Blue Vantage. So I know many of you guys probably have the C-meter test stand covered in dust in the back corner of the shop. I always like to make that joke, but all jokes aside, those are no longer needed for 5000 series machines, guys. So if I go up to this Actions tab here, click on Seed Performance, pause my task here so I actually see it. We can run individual row by row meter tests as well as delivery tube tests. So pretty simple, guys. We just select which rows we want to test. We hit ready. At that point in time, we'll fire up our vacuums and bulk fill so we can actually get seed to those rows, and we'll prime and we'll run the test. So same concept as what we had on the seed meter test stand. You can still set it to whatever speed, whatever seed length you want to run it. But it's a great way to limit the amount of seed we're dumping on the ground when it comes to testing meters, should we need to test meters. And the same goes along with the delivery tube, guys. This is an easy way of quick visual to see if our belts are tensioned properly, if our belt flooding's still in good condition. So instead of having to pull each row out, open it up, we can run this test. It'll tell us in a matter of 30 seconds if we need to address any rows. So a couple of good features available there. I'm going to jump over while we're on the Blue Vantage feed portion here. I'm going to exit training mode. Because I can't see my Blue Connect portion here. It's a good point. Phil's telling me to slow down behind the scenes here, guys. So are there any questions with what we've talked about, whether it be the run screen, any changes within tasks, health screen, workflows, anything you've encountered? Is there any questions thus far on what we've covered?
Guys, to date, everything is what's coming in the software updates. Okay. The next part of our conversation, we want to jump into some of that data management piece. Brandon's jumping right into Blue Connect, and we certainly want to run through what that looks like, not only in Blue Connect, but John Deere Op Center and some of the others. But before we make that transition, anything within the software changes or functionality set, please go ahead and throw them out there in the Q&A section.
Yeah, don't be shy.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to jump back to our settings here, guys. I'm going to click on Blue Connect. Shoot. So if we were to utilize Blue Connect here, guys, this is where your customer would come to log into their Wi-Fi source as well as their Blue Connect account. So as you can see here, I'll walk through what your customer would do as well here, guys. So if I go to configure, so once we connect to our internet here, guys, if you want to bounce back over to the Blue Vantage app, we'd have our internet connection up at the top. When we go to log in, or when your customer goes to log into their Blue Connect account, they'd hit this configure option here. They would type in their email and their password. At that point in time, they click sign in up here in the top right. Because we can't connect to the Wi-Fi for some reason today, I'm gonna just point out a couple different things here. So once we're logged in, these two down here will be, they'll turn to blue. You'll be able to interact with these. One of the main things I want to stress to you guys as we kind of switch into file management and file transfer and how we utilize Blue Connect with our third-party data management systems, I would highly recommend they turn this map sync on. And then obviously, if we want to use the screen share for diagnostics, like Phil just mentioned, we'd click that share button here.
So I'm going to take just a minute on the screen share, guys. Once again, educating your customer in this regard, the button that we're looking at here, they need to know where to go find this. Yep. Because screen share is just that. They're sharing with you as their service provider. It does not give you any control over their screen. So you need to be able to tell them where to find this, how to click that, and then there's going to be a 6-digit code that they give back to you for that access. Guys, more than one person can access this. Okay, so you can be on the screen share. We can be on the same screen share with you. So recognize this as the tool that it is for my diagnostic, as well as an opportunity to educate and train your customer. But the fact that it can be a labor-saving device and in many cases prevent a service call.
Yep. So I'm gonna go to home here, guys. Once your customer has that map sync turned on, when we go to tasks up here in the manage, I do have a screenshot of what that screen would look like. It looks something like this here. Okay. So at this point in time, as you can see, I've already synced all my data to the cloud in this picture here. But down here at the bottom, if there were tasks that haven't been uploaded to the cloud, you'd hit that start icon there. It'll go through the process of uploading those to the cloud. It doesn't have to be, in real time. Like Phil mentioned earlier, if we're pulling these out and taking them inside, whether it be at night or preseason, whatnot, we can always do that data export to the cloud on the home Wi-Fi, so we're not racking up a cell plan or something like that if this is the only thing they're utilizing it for. We can do that over home Wi-Fi as well. So as you can see here, we'd hit start. I have 0 tasks remaining, and I get this green check mark up here that says my sync has succeeded and all my data has been uploaded to Blue Connect.
What kind of a time frame are we talking about, Brandon?
Yep. So for this case, I had 4 tasks. It was just under 2 gigs of data, just because of how the field size was and all the different products and such we're applying. But it took me less than 5-10 minutes, somewhere in that time range. So it was a pretty quick upload to the cloud. So it's an easy thing, take it in the house, hit start, leave it sit on the counter for a couple minutes, come back, and it should be all the way uploaded to the cloud. So. All right. Is there anything else I'm missing while we're on? Oh, there is. One more thing you guys will probably note. I'll point it out while we're here, while we have the feed going, guys. Within the settings button here, you're going to see this big red icon. Pointed out because I want you guys to be aware of what that actually means as they start to come in, or your customers start to see it when they update. You will see it does say there's an update needed for the Blue Vantage firmware. I highly recommend hitting this update firmware button if your customers are seeing it, guys. This is separate from the model year 26 software, which we're telling you guys to upgrade to. But this, I'm going to call it a patch for the lack of better terms, is going to mitigate the issues we saw this spring with the secure boot,
internal coin cell batteries.
Coin cell batteries. You have the flashing icon in the top right corner with the black screen. This update here with some behind the scenes changes our software team's been able to do. When we update this here, it allows our software to kind of bypass those issues, I'll call it, or to change those in real time. That way we don't see those concerns anymore. So very promising sign, because we did get quite a few phone calls, and I'm sure you guys have dealt with that quite frequently this last spring. So this will mitigate all of those. I haven't updated mine yet, obviously, because I wanted to show it for you guys. So, but don't hesitate to hit that update firmware button. I'd strongly recommend it if your customer's tablet is showing what we're seeing here.
Now, it says on there that particular one could take up to 10 minutes. The one on my display didn't take nearly that long, but there again, I was on a Wi-Fi in the office, so that can definitely help your upload speeds.
Yep. Good note. All right. There's nothing else on the Blue Vantage. I'm not seeing any questions yet either. I'm going to do a little bit of talking here before I actually jump into the web-based version of Blue Connect and John Deere Ops Center. So okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. This window. Come on, there we go.
Yep, I got it.
Perfect. So one thing you guys will notice this year, we've been promising it for a while. We've always been able to upload our data to John Deere Ops Center. But we've always had the request of getting that data to go from John Deere Ops Center to our Blue Connect account and our planner without having to use a USB thumbstick. So as you can see from my chart here, guys, I know it's not really my bullet point order I have up there, but for model year 26, we will be able to download our products and grower farm field information from John Deere Ops Center, like we've been promising to a lot of you guys. But you will also see the Case IH data management platform is also coming as a connection we can set up with our Blue Connect account. So as you can see here, we'll have the connection as well as download information from the Case IH FMIS system to Blue Connect. However, we can't upload data to it at this point in time, but it is in works for the future.
And I think the other thing to reinforce what Brandon just said is it's a continuous process. We're working towards that. Some of them are in place today.
Yep.
Some of them we anticipate being in place prior to planting season, but are not yet available today.
Correct.
So I realize we're looking at harvest here first, but as guys do start getting to the point of being able to spend some time and arranging things for spring, check again. Let's make sure where we are in this process, but it is changing almost on a daily basis at this time.
Yep, that's a good point. A couple other things that you guys can see here. I know this spring it was a pain in terms of getting the the prescriptions, to load into the Blue Vantage properly. We were either missing zones, it wouldn't come in the right format. It didn't look right. Our software team did do a bunch of improvements based off of the prescription files you guys sent us. All of those went to our software team so they could analyze them and make improvements. But we have changed a couple things in the processing of these files on the Blue Vantage. So the common issue we saw was boundaries were overlapping, and that was causing zones to show a 0 rate. That has been changed, so the Blue Vantage can handle those moving forward. So we shouldn't see any, knock on wood, issues as far as the prescriptions go, loading into the Blue Vantage moving forward. So that should be a pretty big sigh of relief for most of you guys out there who have customers utilizing a lot of prescriptions. Another thing to note, in the past, the KML file format, which I'd be remiss if I didn't say our two file formats for our prescriptions and boundaries are either shape or KML files. But the KML files will no longer auto create grower farm field tasks.
I think it's safe to say the shape files were most prevalent, but the KML files were convenient in the additional information they contained, yet the error that they could cause with some duplication of events, we back out of that.
Yep, for sure. I'd say whether you were using different hybrids, we had some people that were actually labeling them by like different true depth settings. So I actually talked to the customer that had 9 different tasks because they had 3 different varieties and 3 different downforce settings. So that was actually one of their requests, is to make it not auto-generate that. So while it was nice, like Phil said, it had its perks. It should help with the duplicate task concerns we've seen in the past, as far as having multiple different tasks for the same field based off of what you're exporting for different products and prescriptions. So, all right. I'm now going to jump over to a different screen here. That pop up, it did not. To stop sharing. I probably had it up there and I just X'd out of it, but all right.
There you go.
So I've now switched over to the web-based version of Blue Connect. So we talked about logging in on the tablet, guys. This is the counterpart for it. So this is what your customer would log into here. When they log in, it'll look something like this. As you can see, I have 8 tasks and 582 acres worth of data synced to my Blue Connect account here thus far. But in order to link these with John Deere Ops Center, Agfinity, in the future, we'll be able to link it, like I mentioned, to the Case IH or CNH version. We can't currently do that today just because Model Year 26 software isn't fully released. But to do that, guys, we come down to the settings gear here. You'll see this connections box. I click on connections. I have 2 different options here because those 2 are the ones that we're currently compatible with. But you will see I have successfully synced my John Deere Ops Center account to this Blue Connect account. So I have a green check mark there. It's pretty easy to do, guys. You'll simply click on the 3 dots that are next to it. It'll prompt you to sync it or to connect it. It'll pop up with John Deere Ops Center boxes. And it's as easy as just simply typing your username and password, and then it'll automatically connect to the John Deere Ops Center account. So pretty easy. It's not hard to do whatsoever, as long as you know your login to your John Deere Ops Center.
That's the key.
That's always the kicker. But then, like I said, we've successfully uploaded our data from the Blue Vantage tablet to the cloud and our web-based Blue Connect. And then at the top of every hour, that information is going to go from Blue Connect to John Deere Ops Center. So it's important to note it's not going to be immediate, guys. It's not going to be, 5 minutes it'll be uploaded. It's going to be at the top of every hour.
So I don't want to wait till I'm sitting in the gate wanting to drop files between the 2. I want to do this ahead of time?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Yep. So I'm going to switch over to John Deere Ops Center here. And it looks like you guys can see that as well. Like I said, I did not use a USB for any of this. This is all wireless transfer. But as you can see, I do have a couple different fields in here. I know it's kind of hard to see because there's a lot of information going on here and not a very big window. But all of my application rate, my fertilizer information's here, both products, because I had dual product when I was planning this field. All that information has loaded into here by itself. So as I zoom in, obviously we're going to see the typical legend like you guys are normally used to seeing in your data management softwares, but Just want to stress the fact that all of this was done over the web. It was not using a USB. So pretty straightforward, guys. Didn't take long to get all my data exported. So pretty slick process here. Is there anything I missed, Phil?
No, just an explanation for how nasty your borders look.
Yeah,
On the
yeah, those are pretty crude. I'm not sure who drew them, but yeah, they're not very straight.
So no, guys, this is something we've been waiting for a long time. As the technology still has a process, and it's been great to see some forward motion in the compatibilities and the wireless transfer realm. So utilize that, but recognize that it still takes some time. We have a certain level of expectation that wireless and cloud communication is instantaneous, and there are still update cycle times, not just for the amount of data that we're transferring, but also between the different systems. It's not 100% immediate all the time. So get out there, get it done ahead of time. Help your customers to recognize that as well. And as always, if there are concerns or we're struggling with this, guys, let us know. Once again, reach out to us here at Kinsey. Having the Kinsey Electronics team as a part of your service opportunities as well, let us help. So even as these things change, hopefully making it easier. If you're struggling at all, let us know. We switch back over to the feed for the Blue Vantage, and Brandon drives with the mouse so we can see the arrow on the screen. Thank you, Brandon.
If I forget it's there.
I know. So guys, recognize some of the features that have been built into the Blue Vantage system beyond all of the sensors being visible on the Blue Vantage health page. But we've always also built in some static tests that let us know before we go. So whether that be over the winter in the shop, whether that be a quick in-field test because of a question while we're planting, we get to our actions page. So we hit the actions icon there on the right, and then we jump over to the list of options on the left. Seed performance is right there. And starting with the meters, guys, this is going to allow us to use the planter as its own test stand. And here again, the more we can do self-contained, the more confident we can be, regardless of that seed or variety change or whatever it might be.
Yep. I will just show you guys quickly what it would look like if you actually run one. So let's say we're having an issue with rows 1, 2, and 3. I would suggest setting it to whatever population your customer is running. So in this case, I have 34,000 seeds. I limited the test 800 just for time's sake on our end. And we're going to bump her up to 7. The guy wants to go fast. So I've selected my 3 rows here. I've selected test row. I will hit that ready icon. I'm only going to turn my left vac on because my rows are on the left half of the machine. I'll turn bulk fill on. So you can see our fans would fire up in real time. I'm going to go ahead and hit prime. That way I know my meter is fully loaded before I start the test. And then you hit run test. And this is what it'll look like as we go through it. This is what you would see as well. It will show you that count total. It'll give you all the information you've seen on the test stand in the past. And we're going to get skips, doubles, coefficient of variation, speed of the meter, and our theoretical spacing readout. So as it runs here, it'll do its thing.
Guys, obviously the one piece of this puzzle as the test is running is you are ejecting the seeds down through the bottom of the delivery tube. So catching the seed is certainly an option, so that if we're doing this with an actual variety, we're not wasting it or getting it out on the ground. So we certainly can put buckets underneath the rows to be tested, those types of things, to make sure we're catching that seed and can reclaim it.
Yep. So when it's done, guys, as you can see, it's given us our skips in terms of percentage, total number of skips, doubles as well. So I hope that answers your question. Say if there's any further detail you want, feel free to ask. But it is a very nice tool. In the past, we've utilized it for some of the in-person troubleshooting we've hosted here. I'm pretty good at breaking the planner, so this is a great way to see what I did.
The delivery tube health is the other test function that's on here, guys. This one doesn't require any seed. This is a delivery tube only. In fact, it'll tell you to make sure that you've flipped your meters up and are only operating those. In this case, you might as well run them all. And we can go ahead and right there it tells you make sure to flip your meters up. We don't want the brush running. And guys, what's happening here is that seed belt, as it runs past the sensor eye, the sensor eye can tell the difference between a belt paddle flighting and a seed. It can also sense the stability of that belt, which is an indication of belt tension. So if the belt is running loose, you're getting a lot of additional movement. It's going to be able to see that. It's going to be recognized if there was a missing flight, a bent flight, or if it's just a tension-related issue. So once it goes through, you obviously get the indication of what rows and what the condition may or may not be. We can go back and address those. Most commonly, I'm going to say belt tension over time. Recognizing the Kinsey delivery system doesn't require that to be changed off season, and it self tensions with the spring in there. So here's a case on in row 4. We're going to go pull that delivery tube out. We're going to loosen up the set screws, make sure that the belt tensions itself with the internal spring, tighten them back up, drop it back in, and we can retest just that belt row, or we can retest the entire machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to Phil's point, like I said earlier, guys, red is bad. Typically a good assessment to make. But we do get questions every once in a while of that, specifically belt tension. We'll see some of the yellow triangles in between there. And sometimes, guys, you can chase it all day long, retension it. You may still get the yellow triangle. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm going to tell you guys that I wouldn't be super stressed about it unless we see that red icon there. Because that's definitely going to tell us it's without or way outside of our tension specs.
Yep.
So,
affect planet could affect planability.
Absolutely.
All right.
Any other questions?
There is a question asking about, is there a website for software familiarity for those of us without access to a Blue Vantage tablet?
As far as current software, would Brad have made any of those videos?
There's a couple of things, Matt. Number one, we hope that all of you guys at the dealerships have a demo display tablet somewhere. Okay, one of the sales guys may have it. It may be up on the parts counter. But all the things that we're doing today can be done with your own demo tablet that you have there at the dealership. The other thing that I would recommend is you can go to the resource tab on Kinsey.com where the software is located, and there will be a document that goes along with it that walks you through in verbiage. It's not poking the buttons on the monitor, but the release notes will walk you through all of these individual changes and what they're doing for you. So there is another way to do it that way through the release notes. All right. Guys, here again, we've come to the end of the material that we had presented. There may be additional questions going forward, and that's fine too. In fact, we hope that we continue to bring forward questions in your mind. Once again, we're easy to get a hold of. Please just reach out at dealerconnect@kinsey.com. Shoot us those questions, and we can get back to you right away with an answer, a link, a phone call, whatever is best for you, and be happy to take care of those things for us. So once again, thank you very much for joining us today in our service webinars. We've got more to come this week. We will be back at 1 o'clock Central Time on Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday for the Blue Vantage installation in the cab, and on Thursday for the PTO pump installation on the tractor. So look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.